Welcome to Capital Currents, where the flow of business news and market trends keeps you ahead of the tide. I'm your watchdog, and today is Wednesday, July 9th. In this episode, we'll tell you which countries just got slapped with tariffs and why the markets aren't freaking out quite yet. Then, we'll talk about Samsung's latest struggles. Finally, Waymo's plans to expand to the Northeast. President Trump yesterday sent out letters to multiple countries outlining new tariff rates that are pretty similar to the rates from the infamous Labor Day poster. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and Malaysia are now facing a 25% rate, and a number of other countries are getting hit with even more. Trump did extend the tariff pause from July 9th to August 1st, and he left the door open for negotiation. Look, we've seen this playbook before. Trump did the same thing back in April. He shocks the system with high rates, hoping that this creates a sense of urgency and pushes countries towards a favorable trade deal with the US. We'll see if it works out this time. The initial 90-day pause didn't really result in many deals. The Trump administration wants to complete 90 deals in 90 days. So I wouldn't be surprised if that August 1st deadline ends up getting kicked down the road again. Samsung is feeling the pain from US chip export restrictions to China. Samsung posted its first profit drop since 2023, with operating income dropping by 56% in the June quarter. This marks Samsung's weakest results in 6 quarters. Now, the company is blaming multiple factors here. For one, the US chip export restrictions to China means that Samsung can't sell their top AI chips to China, which is taking a bite out of Samsung's foundry business, especially since the company leans more heavily on China demand. On top of that, Samsung's advanced memory business is trailing rivals like Micron because Samsung had delays in getting certifications from Nvidia. And on top of that, you had tariffs in the US, which has impacted Samsung's consumer electronic business. So you add all that up, and Samsung is facing a ton of challenges and disappearing profits. So we'll see if Samsung can bounce back here. They did sign a deal with AMD recently to supply them with high bandwidth memory for their AI chips. But then again, Trump just threatened South Korea with 25% tariffs, so that probably doesn't help. Let's shift gears and talk about Waymo. The Google-owned company is sending its self-driving cars to New York City and Philadelphia. Now, during this road trip, the Waymo cars won't be driving autonomously. There's going to be a human driver behind the wheel as they cruise around the city. Waymo is taking the step to map out the streets and collect data and figure out a future potential launch. This is a part of Waymo's playbook. They did the same thing in LA a couple of years ago, and that eventually led to a full commercial launch. So this could be step one for an eventual robotaxi rolled out in the Northeast. The tricky situation here is regulation, because each state and city has its own rules. Like right now, New York City still requires a human to be in the driver's seat, even for autonomous testing. Zooming out big picture here though, Waymo continues to have big expansion plans. This year alone, the company is planning the road trip to Houston, Orlando, Vegas, San Diego, and San Antonio. So if you live in any one of those cities, keep an eye out for self-driving cars. That's all the business headlines I have for you. Let's take a look at some stocks making moves. Dollar Tree announced the completion of the previously announced sale of its Family Dollar business to Brigade Capital Management for a purchase price of $1.08 billion in cash, with net proceeds from the sale to total approximately $800 million. In the pre-market, shares of AMD are getting a bump this morning after Citibank raised its price target to $145 a share. The investment bank said that chip demand is slowly picking back up and that rising inventory levels suggest that growth is trending in the right direction. As a result, AMD shares are up more than 3% this morning. On the flip side, green energy names are in the red after President Trump dropped a new executive order yesterday calling for the removal of federal subsidies for clean energy companies. The markets are reacting negatively because the direction is pretty clear from the Trump administration. He wants less government subsidies for solar and wind. The Department of Energy warned that over the next 5 years, blackouts could increase by 100% if the U.S. continues to shutter reliable power sources. The Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, said if we're going to keep the lights on, win the AI race, and keep electricity prices from skyrocketing, the U.S. must unleash American technology. As a result of these conflicting agendas, shares of Sunrun are down more than 8%, and Enphase Energy is down over 4% on this news. That's all for today's show. Keep navigating those waters and see you tomorrow.